From the soles of your feet, with every ounce of blood you've got in your body, lay it on the line until the final whistle blows. And if you do that, you cannot lose.
Hold your king. Control the outcome. It's real simple. You gotta do what you gotta do.
That's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. We living and dying. Is it beginning to sink in? We sink, we swim, we rise, we fall, we meet our fate together.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. The one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got.
Burn on time. GC, go. Got it. Go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. ECOM, go. FAO, go. DCO, go. DPS, go. Cinco, go. Booster, go. Surgeon, go.
Okay, engine stop. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Revolution Radio is 8 p.m. Eastern, and we welcome you to Victory of the Light with Robert Lime Potter Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, Star Family Agartha neighbors, sentient beings from all dimensions in time and space, the psychedelic dolphin man, the man with a plan, a super soldier for the light, a legend in his own mind, a true healer with hands of light and a golden touch, the world's most sincere radio host, broadcasting from Earth inside the mothership to the galactic central sun. The voice of the resistance, His Divine Grace 333, Rob Potter.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Victory of the Light radio show. We're doing a special show tonight. We're actually simulcasting on Studio A and B. So you people who missed the other bumper, we're with Sasha and Janet Lesson of the Sacred Matrix show. And they're over there on Maui in Hawaii. Sasha and Janet, are you there?
Aloha. Yes, we are here. And yes, everybody, listeners, this is a simulcast, and we're so blessed to be here with Robert Potter, our dear friend, that we met in Laguna Beach. How many years ago? What was it? What year was that? Do you remember? The conference?
No, I don't know. It's been a while, but we're both holding down the fort here, doing some good work here.
Yes.
Looking forward to we're going to do a little crisscross interview here in a little bit here, folks. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lead it off here, and then we're going to come back and bring in Sasha and Janet in a couple of minutes. So we'll look forward to that. Thank you, guys. We'll be right back with you, and if they might have a lead-in as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you an update. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you folks there who so very kindly have sent me some very nice messages in regards to the Cobra interviews that came off this last month. It was pretty fun. We had a great response there. Keep those questions coming. And I need to remind you people who are asking questions of Cobra, if you want him to comment on what the Hollow Earth says or Benjamin Fulford or some particular group like Cosmic Awareness or something like this, Cobra, just to keep everything kind of copacetic, he will not comment on someone else's work. If you have a question about their work, don't mention that person, but please go ahead and ask a specific question, and I can answer that. I also would like to thank my host, Matt Painter, my producer. He's not here tonight. He's getting a night off. He works all the time for me. And I'd like to thank Sean Bell, the producer for Revolution Radio, who's holding down the fort there on the servers for us with Sasha and Janet. I also like to remind you folks that freedomslips.com is a listener-supported station. And I'm not sure if that's feedback from me, maybe because we have two servers, but Sasha and Janet, if you're online, if you could mute until we're done here, you may already have. Because we're getting some feedback there, I'm not sure where that's from, but it could be just from the servers that may be having feedback on itself since we have both stations going. But let's see, what else did I want to talk about today? Before we get into our interview, they're going to interview me first, and we're going to do some questions with Sasha and Janet as well in their work. But for those of you who are new to my work here on Sasha and Janet's station, my website is www.freedomslips.com. I'm sorry, that's this radio station. I'm in Studio A. It's unfortunately the same time as Sasha and Janet, so you have to catch me in the archives for you fans of Sasha and Janet. But my website, personal website, is www.thepromiserevealed.com, one word. And I've been very, very active in creating the content for prepareforchange.net. And never before has prepareforchange.net become more important because of its information there regarding the preparations for the arrest of the world criminals. And many people wonder what's going on in the world. And you're going to see a lot of positive hope, no more of the doom and gloom. Despite the escalating situation around the world, there are tremendous numbers of white hats in the world's military, financial, and political arenas who are ready to, let's say, tip the boat over and to start fresh here in a new world system of governance. So you can check that out on prepareforchange.net. The Promise Revealed, they have many wonderful products there. I'm going to be coming out with some new information on gem spheres and things like that in the future. We'll be going forward. And I was going to give a little bit of a political update, but I think Sasha and Janet wanted to talk about that but with me, so I think I'm going to let them interview me on the various false flag things going on these days. We got the big Ebola scare. Of course, we've heard lots of information about the chemtrail dumping increasing and things like that. And the Galactics are very much involved here behind the scenes. And there's lots of basic questions for people who might want to peruse my website and Prepare for Change to understand the process there. I'd also like to give a shout out. I'm out here in somewhere in Oregon, and I did a little show last week, a little bit about the cannabis controversy that's going on in the United States and some of the new laws coming up. And so I'm doing research out here, and I'd like to give a shout out to the various crews out there in the Applegate and all over Oregon, California, the Emerald Triangle, as they call it. Those individuals who are working really hard to bring a very unique natural form of medicine to people in the form of cannabis. Shout out to Chaitanya, Rebecca, Little Chief, Joa, and the crews all around. God bless you all, and keep up the good work. Anyway, so we're going to move forward. I'm going to hand it over to Sasha and Janet, and they're going to introduce themselves and anything else they'd like to talk about, and then they're going to interview me, and we're going to play it back. I'm going to go ahead and get myself on mute here, folks, and look forward to coming right back. Thank you so much. And
okay. Well, aloha, everybody. Welcome to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio. Of course, that's freedomslips.com, and I'm your host, Janet Care Lesson, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson. And Robert, we're so blessed to be on with you again. We had a show, I think it was in May of 2013 with you. I don't know if you remembered that, but
I remember. I do very much, and I also was very grateful to you for allowing me. I filled in for you guys, I think, in one of my first shows. It's kind of a test show for me as my first shot as a radio host.
Yes, and we were so grateful that you were able to fill in for us. I forget what was the circumstance, but we were traveling and we weren't going to be anywhere near somewhere. We got moved on to Sunday. Anyway, it was a long story. And so you were there for us, so thank you for being there for us. But it's a 2-hour show, and it goes very fast, and I'd like to get right down to it. And did you have anything to say before we start with my questions?
Let's just focus on Robert for now. Robert, the first thing that people notice, I notice about you, is that you wear this pyramid on your head, and I guess I've always been too polite to say anything about it. But tell me about the pyramid on your head.
Well, of course, that goes back to my early days with the late great Dr. Fred Bell, whose great uncle invented the telephone. His father worked for Henry Ford, invented the alternator and the automatic transmission. Fred Bell was born on by Henry Ford's doctor and used to hang out with the likes of Bob McCulloch and Bob Johnson and McCulloch and Johnson engines. He himself became a PhD in physics at 17. At the age of 15, with Dr. Leonard Katz in the University of Michigan, studied under a linear particle accelerator, the shockwave of the atomic bomb, and some other things, and ended up going into the Air Force and studying the UFOs at Point Reyes, California. His history is long and hallowed. We won't go too much into that, but he worked on the Saturn, Gemini, and Apollo missions. He ended up having leaving there and working for JPL and Rockwell, and he actually had an Indian teacher named Father Surendraba Roy. You can look that up under the Siva Tulpa family, which was an ashram on Haight and Waller was the front door. Their side door was actually Haight Ashford. So he was the guru who landed in San Francisco in '66 and initiated the Love-Ins and the Flower Children movement there. He held that vortex. So Fred Bell was handed off by him to a master known as Dwal Kul, who was part of the planetary, let's call it spiritual hierarchy, overseeing the liberation of the planet with the Ascended Masters and the Galactics and the Agartha network for many thousand years. And Dwal Kul told him to make a gold pyramid. So Fred Bell, when I first met him, the day that I met him, Karma brought me into his house. He had just finished making his first 50 gold pyramids, and we used to call it doming. So the pyramid, as you know, they're on every continent. I just was recently in Bosnia with Dr. Samir Osmanagic last year. Tremendous things coming out of that pyramid. It's been dated, carbon dated with plants underneath the capstone at 29,600 years. The oldest documented pyramid at this time. It's being poo-pooed, but pyramids themselves, Sasha and Janet, are, I'll give you the scientific definition, which is progressive energy transfer through geometric focusing and dynamic electrical amplification over a measured plane of coordinates. And what that really means is simply that the pyramid acts as a lens, much like a prism does with light, and it focuses the Earth's magnetism into 7 different rays of energy. You're probably familiar with the first ray of will and power, the Master El Moria, the second ray of love, wisdom, which is blue, Kutumi, and of course the third ray, active intelligence, green, the Ascended Master, Paul the Venetian. And then we have the fourth ray of harmony through conflict, which is Serapis Bey. And the fifth ray of Master Hilarion, orange, concrete science and knowledge. The sixth ray of abstract idealism and devotion. And, of course, the seventh ray of ceremonial order and magic, Count Saint Germain. The pyramid is pyramid, fire in the middle. And what it produces, Sasha, is a negative ion effect, which is builds cells in the body and raises the body's, it's basically where the life force comes from. It produces an electromagnetic field, which in esoteric lingo is the the pyramid is the principle of matter made flesh, because the pyramid has a life force aura. If people go to my website, on the front page there, you'll see a beautiful twin vortex vibrational energy coming through with a pyramid, a copper pyramid that's been accelerated by a Tesla coil or the violet flame. I'll say one other thing here, and then I'll let you if you have any other questions. But the Bible in Isaiah 19:19, it says, "In the heart of the land of Egypt, on the border, in the midst thereof, there lies an altar to the Lord." And that is, of course, the Great Pyramid Complex there, which was built thousands of years ago by the 144,000 ascended masters from the Syrian Blue Lodge who came here trying to reestablish the lineage of light and the ancient knowledge of our cosmic history and reestablish ascension schools. It failed, but it was part of a conjoint effort at that time. King Atlan from Atlantis sent his daughter Queen Maya to Central America, where similar pyramid complexes were created to maintain the truth of the teachings and the lineages of light. So the pyramids have many, many influences, and they're used throughout the galaxy. Sasha, various planets have different shapes, different sides and angles, and they're usually created and run by a pyramid, we would call it a priesthood, but they don't ask this intermediaries, called the Order of Melchizedek. And one last thing, diamonds are gold, and the gold's molecular structure is pyramid-shaped, and so is the carbon atom. Everything on a physical plane is produced of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. And so the pyramid is very basic, and when you wear it on your head, it balances the hormones in your pineal and pituitary gland specifically. And our technology, if you people look under my website under Promise Pyramid Systems, the Pleiadians were giving us technologies developing scalar waves for healing and divine intervention, utilizing crystals and lasers in conjunction with that. That's the pyramid.
Well, a follow-up question, though, Robert. The pyramids that I've seen and read about are solid on their sides. The one you wear on your head is like a frame of one. Does it still have the same negative ion cleansing? What difference does it make whether it's solid or not solid?
Well, it's a negative ion effect. Clearly, a solid one would be better, but you couldn't wear it on a head. They simply strip off. You could have to have a thing there. Secondly, we produce an orgone effect with the pyramid by using nickel and gold, which is dissimilar metals, to enhance the pyramid effect. A pyramid normally has to be aligned perpendicular to magnetic north, not true north, but magnetic north to function properly. And the other thing is that gold molecular structure is pyramid shaped, so it always has a frequency. And a pyramid, as you move it, if you could give it optimum frequency at direct, it goes, as you turn, it goes, and then as you move back into alignment, it would produce a higher frequency. And most people don't know you should not make a pyramid out of aluminum or plastic. They produce a positive ion effect and are not good for the body. People make them out of wood. You're better off, obviously, with solid gold, but you can steel, because it is a magnetic conductor. We use stainless steel, and of course, plating it with nickel and gold, and silver and copper as well.
This would mean you could use it as a compass then, by the sound that you hear, or the vibration that you hear, depending on how you're facing.
Well, if you're really sensitive, I was just using that kind of like if I had a meter and I could read it as you turn it. It still has a little bit of effect, but it has to be right on it. And you actually should use a compass when aligning or setting one up in a home to be used that way.
Wow, thank you.
Fascinating. Well, I want to get to the what's happening. Eventually, I want to get to the event, but in the meanwhile, we have a lot of people that are coming up, wanting to be on our show, and they're kind of doom and gloomers, and the sky is falling, and they see Planet X, and they see the double suns, and they see all this stuff coming up in the South Pole. And I wanted to know what you thought about Planet X Nibiru, and of course we have the governments are all building these underground shelters. They have they're saving the seed vaults in Norway. And what did you think about the story of Planet X Nibiru coming through and causing a pole shift? Is that going to happen?
Well, I did take Zechariah Sitchin to Egypt in 1991 with Power Places Tours. I was the one who organized the UFO conference there. We also had Wendell Stevens, and to be honest, I haven't really resonated with the a lot of 12 Planet books simply because when you get these records, they're taken from other records, and I was in contact with Frank Stranges, was very close to me before he passed, and he was constantly in contact with Commander Valiant Thor of Venus, who's been very instrumental in acting as the Solar Council's, one of the main liaisons to the Solar Council's work on planet Earth. And he indicated that there's a lot of that information is incorrect, but what important thing to know is that many, many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, there are many, many different extraterrestrial races coming here throughout history. They had various ongoing interplanetary cultural exchanges and things of that nature. They were mining, according to Alex Collier, gold and borax. Gold, monatomic gold, and gold is a powerful metal, and this planet wasn't so much populated back at that time. But the 12th planet, as Cobra states, is Planet X is actually a planet that circumnavigates the sun every 850 years. It has a super wide elliptical orbit. It never comes within our solar system. Now, in the Palladian work of Billy Myers, which I was getting the contact notes when I was 17, I'm 58 now, 17 years old, Colonel Stevens would send them to us. They were on mimeographs, if you remember way back then, at circa 72 or 3, whatever, 4 or 5, whatever. And I was reading these, and Semyonsi said there was a planet that or a comet that they called the Destroyer, that did come through the solar system every now and then and would precipitate some changes. They have said that since that time, they have bumped it, and it will no longer be an issue for our planet. I have talked to Cobra, and people talk about this dwarf star, planet Nibiru, and so forth, and so on. I do not have any other evidence other than hype. Look, if it's real, everyone with a telescope on planet Earth could focus on it and see it. Why isn't it seen? The second sun phenomenon is one of two things. Either it was heart pictures, number 2, Photoshop, reflection. Down there, I've seen the one in Antarctica, and it's very possible there are huge, enormous, which I found out is a real word, ginormous motherships, and you're well aware of the Galactic Federation. They have motherships 1,000 miles in diameter that actually shape like planets. In fact, I think it's the moon that's around Jupiter, known as Ganymede, is a extraterrestrial biosphere, and we'll be understanding and learning about those things in the future. So, as far as I know, there is no Planet X in Nibiru, and there were different races of beings that were definitely genetically messing with us, and this is documented again by one of my a friend who I really consider deserves the Galactic Federation Medal of Honor. He's been threatened and been under a lot of duress. It's Alex Collier, and he got very detailed on this years ago, and he said that there was definitely genetic altering going on, and some of it was innocent, and some of it was against certain codes that they have in the Galactic Federation. And generally speaking, they're allowed to broadened them. They're called the seraphim. There's different orders of beings within the multidimensional omniverse. And one of these orders, we know cherubim, seraphim, Elohim, the Binai, or there's all these different names. Your Rancher book has different names for these various orders of life. But we're so kind of in a quarantine situation here, we don't know. But I guess from my viewpoint and my opinion, from my understanding, which is limited, folks, there's so much more out there, and I know that I don't know a lot, so always take all information with a grain of salt. It has to resonate with you. But from my understanding, there were allowances to broaden and to strengthen a genetic strain, but you were not allowed to accelerate it vertically or to cross-species pollinate, so to speak. So that was going on in Atlantis, and that was part of the negative implanting and programming.
Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back.
Imagine. Just imagine. Imagine a world
where every child and adult will have the opportunity to achieve their dreams.
I believe my inspiration is the answer.
My inspiration is the greatest light,
the greatest energy.
It was born when the universe was sparked into life.
It's within everything. My inspiration transforms pain into happiness.
Into success.
My inspiration inspires lives.
It inspires lives. It inspires human lives. My inspiration is always shining like the sun.
But it doesn't mean that it's alive.
For centuries, my inspiration was in prison.
In prison.
In prison. It doesn't belong there.
Its home is to be known to all people.
My inspiration is in trouble. We are fighting for its life right now. Right this moment.
This moment.
Millions all over the world want to go beyond their limitations.
Liberate their dreams and reach success.
The failure of us all to be someone
is the biggest disease
of all time.
Each day our brothers and sisters die.
Please help us to birth this inspiration for life.
That will stop us from you.
Help us get the word out of our inspiration. Help us.
Help us.
It's our shared belief for a better future beyond the horizon. Let's write the future.
Wisdom is here.
Stand up and grasp. Stand up. Stand up and grasp. Stand up. Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up. For the dreams of all people.
This is my hot from Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And now it's your time to stand up and make a difference. Fade away. Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat masses, eating and drink themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride, and they can bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't count. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty thing. www.freedomslips.com.
are you?
I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
Why am I here?
You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision, which has led you inexorably here.
You haven't answered the question.
The Matrix is older than you know, as you are undoubtedly gathering. The anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equation.
Choice. Problem is choice.
Right here, FreedomSlips.com. Be here Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Private Eye Matrix Revealed with Monique Musson.
Every Tuesday evening on Revolution Radio at FreedomSlips.com, we present our goddess spiritual warrior, Kathy Bilski.
I command. I call to the architect of the universe's divine creators and ask for permission to quantum leap the worlds of all life forms on all planes and dimensions, seen and unseen, connected with planet Earth, to let us go beyond our known potential into the greatest unknown golden age the universes and worlds and all planets have ever experienced.
Kathy teaches the spiritual truth so that you may create a better life and be able to make positive changes for yourself and for the planet. She helps us remember that we are not powerless, but very creative spiritual beings having an Earth experience. Time to quantum leap into the age of divine enlightenment and let Kathy provide you with the tools of knowledge you need to awaken spiritually. That's the Quantum Leap Show. Let Light Unite every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, Studio B.
Hi, this is Bo. And this is Rocco. And the Bo and Rocco Show is here to offer insight into legal and lawful remedies. Our goal is to remain free and help others remain free in an ever-increasing police-like state. With the help of our guests, we try to answer questions such as what went wrong and what can we do about it.
So tune into Revolution Radio at www.freedomslips.com Wednesday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to the Bo and Rocco Show.
You don't need to expect us.
We're already here.
Revolution Radio. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listeners supported radio. Now we return you to your host.
Aloha and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And I'm your host, Janet Kerr Lesson, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson. And we are simulcasting with Robert Potter. And Robert, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I wanted to add one last thing there, because I always go real long with different questions. But, basically, the way I would finish with that thing is until there's more evidence of the Nibiru thing, I really don't see any hostile forces. The information that's coming in now is, although there was it still is actually an attempt by a hostile group of regressive extraterrestrials who have, for 30,000 years, held the planet in a hostage quarantine situation. The situation has drastically improved since the year 2000 to the point now where they are no longer on Mars. There's no more cabal-oriented things. Their space program is confined to a very low orbit, and there are no negative extraterrestrials, grays, chupacabras, reptilians in the Earth's crust. There is a very strong presence of negative ETs within Earth human bodies through the technology that they had, including cloning. But for the most part, things are getting better, and they are having many last desperate act moves, as you said. But to think about something taken from tablets that were 70,000 years old, to try and apply it to say that they created us. No, we're divine souls created by the prime creative divine creator, and we do have different genetic phenotypes that are worked on with divine law, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding there. That's what they wanted people to think, that they created us and that there are gods. That was the main default. These higher dimensional beings were coming into the lower worlds and declaring themselves as gods and falling prey to manipulating people and to using them, and that's the liberation.
Well, I have a follow-up question then. What do you think is the purpose of these underground installations, the DUMBs and the seed vaults? Why are they preparing all this stuff?
Well, clearly, Agenda 21. Let's go back to modern day. It's been going on for 30,000 years, but let's go back to the modern day ET phenomenon at the time of the nuclear bomb in the Second World War. The good guys, with Commander Valiant Thor as one of the prime representatives, spoke to various leaders of the world governments, and they offered them assistance with science, technology, education, transportation, getting rid of nuclear power and utilizing natural free energy. And Eisenhower was given this, and they rejected it. Then the Greys, who had already been here in control of 13 bloodlines, primarily of royal families and other hidden ones, that they manipulated and were controlling the world's financial, educational, military, and political system for 25,000 years for the most part, came to the governments and said, listen, you better take our offer. We'll give you free tech. We'll show you some ET technology. And if you don't take it from us, we're going to go give it to the Russians. Simultaneously, they went to the Russians and said the same thing. You better take it to us or America will become a superpower. So most of the world's major powers were hoodwinked into signing a deal with the Greys. Now, understanding this on a level, you have to understand the Greys were implanted by the reptilians, and the reptilians were implanted by the Dracos. It's a very sad situation. It's an outlawed technology in the Galactic Federation to entrain the subconscious mind through an implanting procedure, and that's exactly what's happened on planet Earth. And this is why
these are all implanted species that are, because we have a number of different species that the contactees or experiencers are encountering. We've got the mantis, the reptilians, the Greys, and there's many different subspecies of Greys, and the reptilians, and then there's the Anunnaki or the tall whites. So we're trying to figure out, who are all these characters in play. We have the story of Valiant Thor. They just got a movie made, which they're going to show at a conference we're going to in 2 weeks. And then of course there's what's in Agartha, what's in the Hollow Earth. So we're trying to put together the cast of characters and when they came in and how they came in. And so who's in control of this Earth right now? The powers that be, the Queen, the people that Benjamin Fulford says are going to get arrested, the Pope. Are they the ones, the Bilderbergers, that are the Illuminati that are controlling the planet? And what species are they?
Well, primarily understand that the groups that have been here, the reptilians and the Greys, and some of the tall walls, even Andromedans, and a group called the Omegans and the Calrans from various systems, they're very negative beings, and they basically have been here in a hidden agenda, and they have run their stuff from underground bases. Let's go back to Atlantis and understand the Agartha network. At the time of Atlantis, at the destruction, it was decided by many of the lineages of light. There were pyramids, and each of these pyramids had divine flames. They were called Ra's, and they were taken underground into underground cities and caverns that were built within the earth to protect them from the negative radiation that happened when the flood took place and the destruction of the outer. We had like an ice crystal atmosphere that brought a lot of rain down. That's a Noah flood thing. And at that time, it was seen that they Noah wasn't the only one with an ark. There were many of them that were, and some bad guys survived too into the highest mountains and caverns, and they still existed. So at that time, they went underground. They're called the Ra's. There's the main Giza complex underneath Luxor and Giza there called Ra. And then there's one in the Himalayas called Rama. There's one underneath the Bermuda Triangle, a huge series of domed cities with probably 2 million people down there. I don't know if they still exist there now, but they were called Rayolo. There was another giant underground complex that still exists to this day in Posidon. And there's another one underneath Mount Shasta and Telos, which is a Lemurian primarily, and that is called Ramu. And there are probably many others that I don't know about peppered throughout. Of course, we know there's an underground complex in Lake Titicaca, the Brotherhood of the Sun, and, of course, the Eastern European Order of the Star, and which has connections to the Blue Lodge of Sirius, the Ascended Master groups from the various planets. So they have been there.
So what is a Ra again? I missed that. A Ra is, say that one more time. What is a Ra?
Pardon?
What is a Ra? I missed that. What is a
Ra?
Ra?
Ra is a name for a divine flame. And you used to be able to go into a temple. For instance, right now if you read the teachings of Ekankar, there's a book called the Shariat Ki Sugmad, and there is a crystalline temple of silence where there's a living flame. Imagine a giant granite triangle on the ground, raised off the ground, maybe 4 feet, and it's about maybe 10 feet on each side. There's a flame that lives up there, and it provides a life force. It's the essence of timelessness and silence. You didn't have to go before a guru. You would just go into the temple and you would bathe yourself in the divine essence of this living flame or this living presence. The divine word was made into literally a flame that you could go sit before, and it would bathe you in an illuminated field. So these were taken inside the earth so as not to be corrupted. It's always been kept esoteric, and they had nothing to do with us because they didn't want to be contaminated, found out, or have any problems from the surface population. Now, also within the crust, there have been, and Cobra has explained this through his blogs over the last few years, what are called Archon invasions from the dark forces, primarily from the Orion and Rigel system, as well as other areas of the universe that partook in the, let's call it, default, many orders of beings, Cherubim, Cherubim, Elohim, many different races and orders of existence kind of took part in the experiment to become material. Unfortunately, they got trapped and they started to take over worlds. The reptilians, and this is documented in Alex Collier's work in the 90s. If you go to Alex Collier, look up some of his letters from Andromeda and read this information, very detailed on this type of thing. Cobra has been revealing that there were a series of invasions. One was at the time of Constantine near Rome, where they took that over there. And then another time was in Kazakhstan in the 1400s, I believe it was, around the time of the Crusades. The reptilians invaded. And what they do, you guys, is they actually have a very high technology. They can take your body, push you out of your soul out of your body, and their technology is they can leave their body and take over your body. So that's one technology. They had soul catcher spaceships where they would take human souls and put them in a matrix type thing, just like the movie The Matrix, and they would use these bodies, like say a Galactic Federation ship got shot down by the bad guys using a scalar wave beam technology. They would capture the alien. They could torture the alien. And some of the reptilians, and this is hard for people to believe, but they actually were eating human flesh and children and this type of stuff. This is part of their implant and fear process for them. And they would eat the positive ET's body. They would be so traumatized, they'd take that soul and push it into a human body, and it would be forced into a reincarnational matrix. So there's many different benevolent extraterrestrials who have been forced into the human quarantine planet reincarnational matrix, which the reptilians control. They have a very high technology scalar wave network that works in conjunction with the human implants. And these implants, some are invisible and come at birth, which are kind of hard to handle, and the other ones, of course, are through what they're trying to do is genetically alter the foods, GMOs, fluoridation, vaccinations, HARP, chemtrails, cell phone towers, propaganda and media. Mind control is all over the place, and there are a series of programs which keep us and jam our frequency from our divine overself to our lower personality vehicle, temples of flesh. And so it's been a very difficult road. So there have been, within the quest, different strongholds. We know about Dulce, New Mexico. There are various places around the earth, and Waters, England, to name a few, where the Greys and the reptilians were running abduction scenarios that were, they had got the government to join. Now, the military governments were under the theory, some of them wanted to work with the positive ETs, but the positive ETs said, listen, we'll give you technology slowly. You have problems here of your people in charge, and we're not going to give you technology that you could destroy yourself and rule over other people. And when we land for everyone. And by the way, your money system's going down the tubes. So the powers that be, the financial forces in control of the world behind the central banking system, which is a manipulation and part of a off-world manipulation and control network that creates competition and pits people against each other and literally blocks certain of the Creator's laws, like the law of allegiance and allowance. Michael Tellinger and others have revealed, like the U-Bot 2. You know, one guy offered the children, hey, the first one to get to that tree gets to eat a watermelon. And all the kids held hands and they ran together right at the same time. So why'd you do that? He goes, well, I can't have a watermelon if all my brothers and sisters don't have one. If they're not happy, I'm not happy.
Right.
So those of us who live in this world don't have that type of consciousness, and it's been literally programmed out of us. And combining with more advanced forms of technology, smart dust nanoparticles and stuff like that, it's been tough. But the Galactic Federation, folks, in 2000 began with the people from Planet X who were also taken over. They overthrew the Greys and Reptilians on their planet, and they petitioned the Galactic Federation to come here and remove them. They were granted permission, and since 2001 through 2011, they have shut down over the United States alone, 109 dumb, deep underground military bases have been vacated. All of their seed banks, all of their cities, all of that stuff has been shut down. They have blocked their super tunnel trains, the maglev trains that travel at 2,000 miles an hour from New York to anywhere around the planet, have been shut down. And the Greys and Reptilians, over 10 million died in a series of firefights 2 or 3 miles below the surface of the planet. Those that were captured were taken to motherships where they were healed and showed their implant matrix, and many of them have returned to the light and have returned to their worlds and are unimplanting the rest of their species as we speak. So at this point in time, as far as I know, the information that I've been given is that the positive forces are very much removing the power base of the Cabal. The Cabal themselves, actually, some of them in the Chimera group, in these underground military bases, and you can usually tell by the shape of the base, like Denver's shaped like a Nazi swastika. You look at other bases, there's one that's shaped like the Constantine symbol of the cross in various locations. Cobra has revealed this on his website. But now they're contained to probably several hundred yards below the surface is all they go. They have some basement shelters, but nothing which to run. And what they did with the humans on the Earth is they invited them in, and they said, look, we'll give you this technology here. We'll enhance you, and they would give them implants which the Earth people would get like kind of an amplified cyborg-type personality, but they ended up getting taken over. And so a lot of these people in the government were promised, look, you're going to depopulate the planet down to 500 million. We'll let like 10 million of you will be the rulers and the rest will be slaves. What they didn't realize is that if this plan went through, like on any other worlds, when they got firm control, those leaders were going to be the first to be eaten and removed, and the rest would just remain as slaves. So that has been stopped and thwarted by the Galactic Federation of Light. We do have hope, and the ones on the surface are running a last-ditch effort with this Ebola. Now, that's another scenario, and I can keep talking. I'm going to let you ask more questions. I apologize.
Okay, we'll come back to it. We do want to know about Ebola, but Dr. Lesson has his question, his turn.
Well, it really does dovetail with that. I understand that the event is going to save us from the planetary oligarchy, and a lot of things were staged, like obviously the Boston Marathon with actors and Sandy Hook, which never even took place, no one was killed, and of course the Twin Towers and stuff. So I would like, that's what my question is really about, is what are the false flag events? Obviously you're going to tell us about Ebola, which we really want to know about, and any others that are current.
Yeah, they're calling it Ebola Gate.
Yeah, well, clearly, my good friend Dr. Len Horowitz, who lives on the Big Island, who I met at his 40th birthday, and who I worked with him on the water blessing with Dr. Emoto, Alex Collier, many other people. We had a simulcast from around the world, wrote a book, Agent Ebola, Nature, Action, or Intentional, and this was created in Fort Detrick with the help of course, the negative ETs as part of an endgame depopulation program. Their plan, of course, was to create a zombie apocalypse. They started a series of movies like Outbreak and endless movies, 28 days, endless movies to get people programmed that vaccinations or that there's viruses and only vaccinations can save you, but actually the vaccinations are what give you the disease. And this is a very old technology, and the Galactic Federation has been interfering with the poisoning of the population by, to a certain extent, neutralizing chemtrails as well as vaccinations and the Ebola strains. They just simply miraculously place a beam on it, and it is not potent. It will not give them their zombie apocalypse. So the false flags are designed, as you know, as a counter-intel psyops, media, fear propaganda. The negative extraterrestrials, some of them actually would feed on you like a chicken sandwich. That's how far they had degenerated. But another aspect of the extraterrestrials is an invisible parasite form, which exists in the lower astral plane, and they feed on spurious emotional energies like the Greys. They really like it when people are angry, or primarily fear. Fear is something that excites them and gives them psychic energy. So their entire system and matrix of control is designed and developed to fear. That's what all the media stations are about, is promoting horrible thoughts and ideas and projections of doom and gloom and telling you what they're doing when in reality it's all staged, it's all hyped, and it gives people the impression that everyone in the Middle East is a terrorist. And those are gentle, loving people for the most part who have just been raped, pillaged, and plundered by the New World Order. So this will no longer stand. The event is part of a process of planetary liberation worked on by the Galactic Federation of Light in conjunction with the Agartha Network and the Multidimensional Alliance of Free Worlds to begin the process of liberating the planet through arresting of the major criminals. Now, the ones that are very advanced with high technology that we couldn't possibly take down, this is being done behind the scenes by the Galactic Federation. The event will be arresting Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, the Bushes, Cheney, Rumsfeld. I'm calling you guys all criminals, pedophiles, drug dealers, etc. They will be arrested under the guise of misuse of money. There are over...
Who's going to be doing the arresting? Do you have any idea, like, who's going to... I mean, how are they going to do
White
that?
Hats. There's white hats in the military, good guys and negative guys. They're, as you know, the Nazi paperclip agency bought over the Nazis and installed a Nazi regime within the United States government and military. George Bush Sr., if you look on my website, The Promise Revealed, on the right-hand sidebar, people, there's a free book by Alexander Putney called The Veil of Invisibility, which I'm honored to share with people in a free download. You can see a picture of George Bush Jr. at about 12 years old with Joseph Mengele, Martin Bormann, and Reinhard Gehlen, and Barbara Walker Bush and Otto Skorzeny, who was the one who released these pictures on his deathbed because George Bush had stolen $500 million of gold bars that Eva Peron had given him as her secret lover. So the Nazis have been alive and well. George Shultz, all of these guys are part of this program. And we want to think it's Nazis. We want to think it's the Mossad Jewish Zionist Khazarian agenda. We want to think it's the Jesuits. We want to think it's the blacks, the whites. They divide and conquer. It's really a hostile extraterrestrial force that really knows no gender, no race, no religious affiliation, but is simply a tyrannical lost soul that is manipulating and controlling. So we have to see beyond that, look to the unity consciousness, and the more that we attain our spiritual vibration, we can move forward.
Great. That was perfect. We're on a break. We'll be back in 5 minutes. See you.
Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs, government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Anti-aircraft guns pointed to our against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific wartime this morning.
Ja, far stronger than we were 10 weeks ago.
General Quarters, all hands at your battle station.
Nervous soldier told. I'll do the mastermind around here.
You have not seen it, do not know what hell looks like from the top.
Check it out every Tuesday and Saturday on Revolution Radio. It's a double dose of the internationally recognized renegade military historian Douglas Dietrich.
We'll stay right where you are like to tell you to move out.
Yeah, that's right. Tuesdays from 10 to midnight Eastern Time. Join Douglas Dietrich as he exposes the truth in hidden history on his show Critical Omission. It's that our human weapon of mass destruction is back once again to take your calls on Saturday night, 5 and 9. Both from 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Only on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Hi, this is Bo.
And this is Rocco.
And the Bo and Rocco Show is here to offer insight into legal and lawful remedies. Our goal is to remain free and help others remain free in an ever-increasing police-like state. With the help of our guests, we try to answer questions such as what went wrong and what can we do about it.
So tune into Revolution Radio at www.freedomslips.com Wednesday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to the Bo and Rocco Show.
You don't need to expect us.
We're already here.
Revolution Radio.
The opinions expressed on this station, programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listeners to the radio. Now we return you to the
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sacred Matrix on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com with your host, Janet Kara Lesson and Dr. Sasha Lesson. And we are simulcasting with Robert Potter of the Victory of the Light show on Studio A. And we're having a very exciting show. And before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please take a few minutes. Revolution Radio is listener-supported, so do go over to the donate button on the website right now, please, and donate what you can, even $1, $5, $10, $15, $20. Whatever you can donate is greatly appreciated. Revolution Radio relies on your donation to bring you these incredible programs, so thank you very much for your donation. And Robert, before we get back, we want Dr. Liss and I talked about this is so fascinating. We just want to continue until we get everything out in this show, and I definitely want to cover things like Agartha, the event, and the current events and how they support what is happening to free humanity from this slave matrix. So back to you.
Yeah, I'll finish up with what I was saying there. So the Agartha Network, we kind of went under. There's a good guys down there, and they're poised, ready, willing, and able to come forward with new technology. The Ascended Masters have ancient technologies hidden beneath the pyramids, various sacred sites on the earth, Wyoming, the Inner Retreat Ascended Masters, Telos, the United States military is giving stuff, Tesla. Lots of good things can happen very quickly as soon as the control matrix of the negative implanted people, and we're all kind of implanted, is taken out. Right. So that's the Agartha Network. The Ebola thing and all that stuff, these false flags are designed to control and manipulate. I'm not denying that they don't have this. They have very nasty people involved, and they do have a wet dream of creating something. There have been, I have certain sources, and I don't know the veracity of all of them, but I'm guided, and I have a lot of different things. I have a couple people involved in some situations. I'd like to hear about the Fulford thing you want to talk about to read me in a minute, but I'll just say this. Len Horowitz knows the government did create Ebola. It killed people so quick. It wasn't really what they wanted. So they have like an Ebola light, and I don't think it's even working. It's all crisis, false flag actors. They're scaring the bejesus out of the hospitals, which is a big part of the control matrix, and we talked about the Nazis. So people need to educate themselves and realize that we have a lot of criminals in the world's financial system. The central banking is a Ponzi fiat debt slavery system designed to separate people and to destroy the planet. So we have to completely be aware to revolutionize and change the planet. That's what the event is about. You ask who is going to do it. There are forces within the military fighting the Nazis in the United States. There's a mini civil war going on behind the scenes, and God bless those spiritual and true patriots.
How are they fighting? In what way are they fighting this? Do you have any ideas how they're fighting it?
Oh, they're fighting it all the time. I mean, they wanted to have, the first thing they wanted to do is after Iraq was going in Iran. They didn't get that wet dream, did they? They wanted to go in and they created a situation in Syria where what's his name there, the ambassador Stevens was horribly mortared and tortured and set on fire. The horrible thing, and that was all false flag attack. Then they got things going in Ukraine a bit. Still, there's not worldwide movement of military. Then they have their little lackeys, within the various world governments trying to support another world war. Again, then they want to go to Iraq and try to send more troops in there, and that's getting shut down. And they tried to send more troops into Syria. The ISIS is completely manufactured. Most of those are United States or world mind-controlled children, military mercenaries who have been brought up in horror and torture from various cabal-related situations around the world, and it's run by the Chimera Group, which has very advanced technology, and it's all about trying to control things in the oil situation. So one of the plans for liberation of the planet is to arrest these individuals, and the way they're going to do it, you guys, is that all these guys are guilty of financial crimes of malfeasance. Everyone can understand that. The first thing at the event is not going to be, hey, cheese and galactics and all of us New Age mumbo-jumbo. No, they're going to arrest these people for criminal financial malfeasance. They all have secret credit cards with their names on it with millions of dollars. You wonder, how does a House of Representatives guy on $35,000 a year or $180,000 a year become a multimillionaire? Clearly, there is another funnel of money. So they have that system. That's how it's going to go down. There is a new republic that's been established, and I can comment on a couple things. I just spoke to some very high ups involved in the white hat military, New Republic, involved in the financial reset, and I can confirm some of the information, and I will correct some errors on other things as far as the White Dragons and the Queen of England. So if you want to ask any specific questions there, I can answer those.
Well, of course we would like to know, like, when all this is going to happen, and what is the role of the Queen of England in all this? What is Obama's role? People said when Obama came in that he was a good guy, but he was kind of resigned and went with the flow. But then people like Andrew Basiago said that he was told he was going to be president
he's a CIA operative.
Yeah, so
well, I'll fill you in on Obama, and I recommend people read a book by Scott Lemriel called The Serious Agenda, SCRES Agenda. Scott Lemriel. He's a very experienced soul traveler and has been meeting with ambassadors from different Galactic Federation worlds. And I think people should understand that this implant procedure is a horrible situation, and it's going to be hard for us to get to this point, but we have to forgive the reptilians who themselves have been implanted and run on mind control. It's like the super soldiers. Right. who were taken and are forced into murder, drug running, assassinations, horrible, unspeakable acts without their free will. It's actually a manipulated situation where their bodies are and their minds are implanted programs. People don't believe that. I didn't believe it, but it's the real deal. Obama, originally his soul is a good soul. All souls are good and pure and light and right. And what happened was he did become involved in the Jump Room Mars project, Pegasus and Looking Glass, many years ago with Andy Basiago, who was at my Mount Shasta conference. And unfortunately, he has been implanted and controlled. In the Serious Agenda, it basically lets you know that Obama starts to say something. They push a button. It works an implant in his head. You'll notice he has a scar on his head, supposedly from a car accident. But that's most likely a chip like Sir Huntus or Churhan has, but more advanced. But basically, they push a button, and he runs on autopilot. His family may have been threatened, and there's nothing he can do. He's literally a prisoner and a hostage, just like the entire planet is. So Obama. Now we go to the Queen of England. She's a full-blown lizard, as is George Bush Jr. These are full-blown reptilians.
Oh, you're breaking up. Say that again. The Queen of England is a full-grown lizard. Then what did you say?
I would say she's absolutely an extraterrestrial reptilian incarnated. See, here's what they did. All the light workers, they put you in dysfunctional families where you're not going to get along. And all of the dark forces get to reincarnate. Like when Rothschild dies, he's born again as the next Rothschild baby. And through a series of generational program and abuses, he realizes who he is and runs into the program. They become witness to many murders. The whole elitism, the people are useless eaters, and to be used and abused, this absolute arrogance that comes from this tyrannical, basically very pitiful satanic system which enjoys other people's suffering, has greatly fractured many souls, and these people need to be healed. So God bless Barack Obama, and when this comes out, people will understand, and even the reptilians themselves will be apologizing when this whole cleansing situation is revealed here.
Who's doing all the implanting? Which species is implanting the Obama and reptilians?
Okay, it's run by, the primary system is from the Orion Regal system, are where they call the quantum foam random anomaly kind of got its start that created all this negativity, and we have stories and myths about it in all of our world religions and stuff, but they basically control the reincarnation matrix vortex. The planet is not liberated. If you are born, every person who's born on the earth has to go through the vortex and takes the soul contract of 2 implants. And these are invisible. We can't even see them. Every soul born on earth has 2 implants, one in your head and one in your feeling nature. We have gray matter in 2 areas of our body. In our diaphragm, which is connected to our feelings, and women are typically more connected to that, and of course in the gray matter in the brain, and a lot of times men are more centered there. But this is run off an invisible scalar field technology that the minute you start to invoke light into your body, there's a counter dampening field put upon you. So this has been going on. Then that's why the Galactic Codex and the ETs have to come here. People think that they can go into the higher worlds. They can't. For the most part, they're slipped into a higher astral plane where they have a semi-heaven experience, but that's still manipulated and controlled by the Greys. And when you want to reincarnate, you go, okay, I'll reincarnate, and they go, okay, here you go, here's your implants, welcome to Earth, and you start all over again.
Well, that resembles the story that the Errol the Grey said at Roswell. There's a book called The Alien Interview, and she said the same thing, that this is a matrix, this is a prison planet, and there's really no escape, and they're trying to get some of their Greys that got, like you said, implanted and pulled into this evil matrix. So this is very congruent with what I've heard from other people that have been telling the stories. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
The Lazaretto Grey, that was, the Greys were liars. They're the king of lies and manipulation. So the stories, the good military, for instance, they were part of the agreement that was made, the Greada Treaty that's talked about with the Greys was, look, we'll give you technology, we'll let you monitor us, we're just going to pick up your people and tag them like you do cattle to look at them, but that's not what they were doing. They were implanting them, taking the fetuses for genetic experiments. The Greys themselves had been taken over. They'd actually been here for a long time, and were already quarantined here. Kind of, they fall under the rule of the law of demons or asuras in the Hindu stuff, but they basically, they're no longer here. They're gone. The chupacabras coming out on the surface, that's when the bases were getting cleared by the light forces. All of a sudden, chupacabras were popping up, and down in Brazil they were killing them. In Mexico, they actually were forced onto the surface to escape. And these are, again, very pitiable creatures who were living very horrible existences, and hopefully that's going to be cleared up. So you have the Greys and reptilians running these various programs, but as I said, they're no longer here in that form. Now they're either in human form or they're in some high astral plane, and they're hiding in, according to Cobra, I've talked to him, he said there are so many black holes that they're hiding in so that the bad guys can't, but the good guys can't cleanse them. But eventually the higher forces come in and will take them out at the right moment. No one knows the hour.
They have souls, or are they robotic, the Greys?
Oh, yeah, well, here's what they would do. They have one Grey, and they would clone themselves like 20 times, and there would be the small Greys. So you have one tall Grey who's kind of the high, it's like a beehive. He's the queen bee, and he has a bunch of gray, small Greys. That's why many people in the abduction scenarios, the white hats of the military were trying to stop that. So people would have a Grey abduction, and then the men in black would come, the real Greys, the bad guys say, shut up, and then the white military would come in, and they would come in and they'd abduct the person too, and they were doing some kind of bad things too, but they wanted to know what happened to you with the Greys. They would put them under, they wanted to know what the Greys were doing. So even the good guys for traumatizing Earth people back then. And we didn't understand all this now, but the Galactic Federation is allowing more and more information as we can assimilate it and move forward. But the plan is to liberate the planet in a positive way. I want to get into you guys a little bit too, so let's, why don't you ask me some questions on the financial reset, and you can read me the Ben Fulford thing, and I can address some of that. And of course, any other questions, I'll be happy as well.
Okay, Sasha's a quick question.
Well, it's not about that. Stay with the Fulford thing.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm interested in, I have a leaked Bilderberg, let me get this, leaked Bilderberg closing remarks 2014. And once again, we don't know if this is real or not. It's kind of backwards English because it was translated from French. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically what they're saying is that the technologies are perfected, that we are ready to live 2 centuries, and our nanotechnologies allow us to repair the bodies inside, and they decoded the human genome, which allows us to understand the functioning of cellular aging, and they said we're not capable of stopping it, but they can slow it down considerably. And they have the control of stem cells, which allows us to remake at demand any cellular tissue or organ which would be failing. So with that in mind, they don't want to give that to humanity. This is going to be reserved for the power elite. And so they're encouraging the immigration so that poor people can just go into impoverished countries, and that'll further the economic collapse. And they're encouraging the rise of the most radical Islam. They're going to instigate hatred and the dissension in the peoples, and they're going to bring up about large-scale civil wars where each community will be responsible to kill the largest number of the other community, and so on. And they said that this strategy is, like you said, divide and conquer, blacks against white, Muslim against Christians, and it's very successful. They're going to do distribute the Ebola 2.0 modified genetically, and they test it at great efficiency. And so civil wars, Ebola, and let's see what. Then they're going to do the economic collapse, and they said the border division between the rich and the poor is not so much as about the money, more than the access to eternal life. So that was a leaked thing. We don't know if it's real or not. There's a big article at jhaines6, JHAINES6.wordpress.com, leaked Bilderberg closing remarks, and it's a much longer article. So I just wanted to bring that update. I don't know if you've heard anything about that. So tell us about this this big false flag, which involves genetics,
right,
economics, Ebola, civil wars, etc.
Okay, well, first of all, this was translated from French, mon Dieu. Well, I would have to say, number one, I'm not sure that that's exactly how the Bilderbergers would say it. It sounds more like a propaganda to create more fear and to create the impression that these things are moving forward. But believe me, they do want it to happen, but it's a wet dream. I believe that the Galactic Federation and that the forces of light and that the game is literally up, and they're very desperate because they cannot go alternative to jumping to Mars. That has been shut down. Their international space stations they've been corralled in. They have a few of their secret space program. Everyone thinks the shuttle went up there, but believe me, folks, go to my secret space technology on The Promise Revealed. Some of my photo galleries, you're going to see the government has very advanced technology. Billions of your hard-earned money has been stolen and taken to do drugs and cross-collateralized derivative accounts and stolen for these purposes. So I'm going to say they do have those intentions and plans. This is the plan of the good guys, and this is the BRICS alliance that Putin and many of the New World currencies reevaluation is about. And people need to read David Wilcock, and also there's a book by Patrick P.S. Offenbach on my website called The Global Abuse of the Creation of Money and Doing It Otherwise. And this details the debt slavery system of finance, of how it's just a big joke, folks. Money represents your energy, and the states have a right to print it. But what's happened is been controlled by a central banking system, which has basically just everyone keeps impoverished, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and the depopulation programs continue apace through malathion foods, insecticides, pesticides, irradiation of food. We could go on, nuclear
Are they actually
radiation.
depopulating right now? It seems like if they really wanted to get us down to the 500 million, like on the Georgia Guidestones, that it would be very easy to introduce some kind of major infertility, and within a generation we would be down. I think that is propaganda as well. I think that's they like having this huge population and control system, because the more population, the more money they have, and it's all about money, greed, power, and control. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical that they would, allow us to be 7.5 billion and then put us down to 5 million.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's run by the aliens. That's what the aliens have been wanting to do, and that's the agendas that they've been pushing. I don't think every single Earth person or compromised politician who's been blackmailed, bribed, or implanted into these programs and voting and moving these agendas along is completely aware of the entire picture and what it represents. So, but I will say that was their plan. They're not going to get away with it. It's being stopped, and I cite as evidence the no nuclear wars. You don't see people dropping dead from Ebola. It's only on the television. Everyone's tuning into the fear frequency, and they're getting hyped up. They may get away with small firefights like Ukraine, ISIS, again, horrible, horrendous acts. They, blew up Fukushima, nuclear. They've attempted nuclear wars many times to reduce the population. The Galactic Federation and the higher dimensional superluminal light beings, as my friend J. Hurtak likes to call them, says, they simply just don't allow it. And that's what a lot of Stephen Greer's disclosure project proved, that military guys around the bases, and simply a UFO would come over the base and all the electricity went out and there's no way they're going to launch. So as many times as they tried to depopulate the planet and create a nuclear wasteland while they survive underneath the surface, if you read, and you'll get an idea of the personalities of Rumsfeld and Cheney if you read the book, Veil of Invisibility. In the end, one of the most powerful mind control subjects of the New World Order, who was a very spiritual being and protected by the Pleiadians, was able to clear up radiation. They put her in a nuclear exploded cavern without any suit, and her spiritual forces, she reduced the radiation. They said, that's great. You're going to teach 500 people how to do that. We're going to explode 30 bombs all over the planet in 5 years. We'll put you guys up and you'll reduce the radiation. And she's like, are you guys nuts? I mean, under mind control and everything. You have to read the book there, and her name is Dr. Susan Arrigo, and God bless her wherever she is. But she's like a super psychic soldier being tooled by the dark forces. And when you hear the conversations she had with Rumsfeld and Cheney on their planet,
after this show, we'll have to put these references up on our site so people can find these books, because you're naming so many good references. So
yeah, this one's called Veil of Invisibility. It's on the sidebar under the link "What's Wrong with America?" The Grand Conspiracy, the Nazi crime, the Bush family crime syndicate. download the free PDF, folks. Spread it, download it, share it with your friends, get it out there. Put these pictures on Facebook. Show a picture of George Bush Jr., Barbara Walker Bush, the whole 9 yards. Show what's going on. Let people see the facts, proof, and evidence. And one of the reasons that the collapse may come is, of course, because it basically bankrupt the whole system. And the good guys, and this is what people need to understand about the revaluation. Everyone's talking about the dinar. The revaluation is not about a bunch of people getting monetary exchanges and getting wealthy. The world revaluation of the currency takes the power away from the central banks. And what they have done, and it was done last January or before, they had revalued all of the world's currencies based on three things: natural resources, the GNP and the GDP of each country. This will allow every country in the world to create and print their own money separate from the central banking system controlled primarily by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, the Jesuits, the Queen, and all of the bad guys who are basically, every banker they're just all criminals. It's unbelievable.
Alex Collins says that the extraterrestrials don't have money, that this is a strange system that humanity has. Are we going to move to a moneyless system, more like Ubuntu, like Tellinger, and be into contributionism? What's going to be the new system?
Well, this is one of the reasons that this is the key to changing. Number one, they can't pay anyone to do their dirty work. So that's going to, the arrest will be coordinated by the Galactic Federation. The Agartha Network will guide with their intelligence that looks through walls and knows where every single clone and every single negative political and financial and religious and controlling figure is. And the major ones will be arrested simultaneously by the White Hats in those countries who have been in contact with ETs. There's a network of positive extraterrestrials who have been working with Earth-based military allies for decades. These beings have been on board motherships, have become enlightened and awakened, telepathic. I met one of them when I was very young. And that's another long story, but basically these guys will coordinate the arrest. They will shut down the entire financial system. They keep talking about the revaluation, but it can't take place because the Rothschilds control the entire computer system, and that's also controlled by some very high technology negative extraterrestrials. So it's kind of a cat and mouse game. The good guys are hiding the forces of heaven. When they decide to do it, it will take place. The reason it hasn't taken place, everyone asks, is because yeah, well, they don't want to cause more death and destruction. If it's not successful, we could degenerate into a Mad Max Civil War scenario. So they're removing.
I don't understand how that would happen. If they could come in and do something like mass disclosure where see, I was given a download about 2 months ago, and they were going to come in and just show themselves to everybody at the same time around the planet, so everybody would see the ships at the same time. And like the 1951 movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, they have the ability to shut down all the nukes. They can shut down everything all at once, so that would basically freeze everything. And just like in that movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, it's like it's a new game from here on out, and if you don't abide, then it's game over for everybody. And it needs to, because 100,000 people a day die. So we're losing 100,000 people a day from diseases that are curable, and accidents that are if we had free energy systems and teleportation, we wouldn't be flying around in boxes that crash and into each other and kill people. So 100,000 people a day are dying unnecessarily. So we've got to stop somehow and recreate this paradigm. So I want them here yesterday. Okay. Get down here, guys.
Okay, we all do, because we're down here in it. But I'll ask you to take a broader step back and understand from a soul level, you are eternal life. You already have eternal life. No one can take it from you. You already have it. It's the divine nature of your soul. the fact that the Bilderbergers would claim that they can bestow eternal life on their minions is completely, again, a lie and manipulation. We are divine spirit sparks of the Most High.
You're saying, Robert, I'm not sure where you're going.
Well, I want to give you the perspective that...
No, I couldn't hear you. That's all. We couldn't hear you for a moment there.
Talking to the mic is what she means.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
So you're saying that we're all eternal beings. Yes, I understand that, and I kind of have access.
So I want you to use that understanding in this broader perspective.
Okay.
We have a bunch of criminals here who the Galactic Federation are in quarantine. It's like they've put a big cattle fence around the planet. They put it around the galaxy. They compressed it. Now it's only on Earth. The bad guys had various bases. They were coming in through portals and interdimensional pathways. There are literally portals they can jump through dimensions and time and space within the Earth and outside the Earth, and those have been monitored now and shut down. So now they have the bad guys here. They don't want them to escape. So if they were to create a situation here and it was not successful, the Earth managed to they have some very exotic weaponry called stranglet and toplet bombs that can blow up the whole planet and literally wreck the entire solar system. And these crazy guys in there are crazy enough to do it. So what they decided to do is to very methodically and patiently take the rug out from under them so that when they do it, it will take down. And yes, they could appear en masse land on the planet, but there's so much fear amongst the populace and so much misdirection. Before they can do that, they must take down the invisible scalar field network, which works in conjunction to the human manipulated implant matrix, which controls your biological body. So I just give them the benefit of the doubt for the higher wisdom of the patients and doing it right so that there's no more deaths. They will not be responsible for them. They don't want to, even though there's 100,000 or millions of dying all the time, they can't do it until the right moment. And that divine moment will be divine by the creative source, and eventually it initiates the return of the spiritual understanding of who we are, where we came from. We will be shown, they're called the history coins. Crystal and holographic Akashic records will be available to people in libraries. You'll be able to put in a coin and watch the life of Jesus, of Buddha. You'll see who killed Kennedy. All these things will be revealed, and people will go through shocks, especially people who have very set religious beliefs and limited understanding of the manipulation of the truth after the great teacher spread the message of light and love. Usually, very shortly after his death, they create a cult around it, a church, an edifice with teachings, rules, laws, special clothes, and it basically has misdirected. All the teachings of light have been defamed, every single one of them. So Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, Hare Krishnas, agnostic, whatever you are, those things will be understood for the true teachings, and we will begin the mentoring process. Will begin, and I'm happy to announce one of the first ambassadors to the Earth who has no scientific knowledge. Her name is Omnek. She's a Venusian.
Oh, I know her.
She's going to be appearing with me. She's agreed. I've been working with her, talking to her recently. She's very beautiful. She's had a stroke, and she's a little older now, but she's going to be sharing the spiritual laws of the universe, the Creator, as practiced on Venus, and will be clearing up many things about life in our solar system and be taking us through a series of meditations. We'll be playing some CDs and doing things, and that's August 19th to the 23rd in Mount Shasta. You can look for that on my banner. James Gilliland has agreed to come again, and I'm kind of preparing a group of people. We'll have 5 days there, but she's the first ambassador. I can tell you there are people from from Mars here, and that's the brown race, typically Spanish, Latin. The red race is from Saturn. Those are Indians, and the black races come from Jupiter. And there are those representatives here on the Earth. They will come forward at a certain point in time. This will be the real disclosure. I applaud Stephen Greer for his effort. But when he contacted me in 1999 talking about disclosure, I said, look, you can't have a press conference with the foxes and say, hey, the hen house is there's something wrong, because it's all been covered up. They'll never give it up. It has to be taken from them. So the economy collapse is not about destroying the economy. It's about resetting the economy. And the way it's going to happen, to answer the question, I always throw two out there, but the way it's going to happen is first we'll go to a gold-backed currency, which will be transparent. We've always had the power for a cashless society, but it's always been manipulated and controlled. With a push of a button, they can steal it. So it must be absolutely airtight under the highest spiritual, ethical principles, which is impossible on the Earth. And this is why the Galactic Federation, the Forces of Light, the Agartha Network will utilize advanced technology and create a new economic system. The public won't be aware of that for some time. In the beginning, you're going to see Clintons, so they'll all be paraded in front of you in handcuffs around the world. They will go into all of the world's cabal-controlled, false flag, propaganda machine, television studios, and they have prepared documentaries showing all the UFOs, the different groups, the meetings of the ETs with the various groups. You'll see Grays. You'll see the Saul Silver guy that was in handcuffs taken in the 30s, that famous picture of the little 3-foot ET that came up to the waist with the men in black in handcuffs. You'll get all of the information will be revealed to us in a series of steps. You'll understand about free energy has been available. You'll know there's cures for cancer. People will be shocked and angry.
Oh, yes.
They will freak out. But they must have this catharsis and healing. We must bring the mold and bacteria to the light of day, and so that people can understand it, we can forgive it, and we can begin to allow our co-creative creativity to blossom, and we can move forward very quickly. Imagine a briefcase-sized technology that you go into. All of the mechanics will be trained. You go and they take your engine out, they melt it down, turn it into something else, and they give you a briefcase, and your car runs on free energy. The same thing for your car.
We don't need a car. We have a teleportation system in our living room. We don't have to get into a box. Just
absolutely. So these are steps that will take place. It's going to be a process, and I've been thinking about it for 35 years. I've always been wondering how it's going to happen, but it has to happen gently and slowly, because we cannot panic or traumatize people. We don't want people running out in the street.
Scared by the media. We're about to celebrate 60 years of Star Trek, and I loved Gene Roddenberry. I was a Trekkie when I was 12 years old, and I think that we have been prepared for this alternative reality, this Star Trekian reality, for 60 years now. And of course, the Roswell story. So these stories are just all over the internet, and every day I hear people waking up. I don't think it's going to be as as harsh as, we got over Santa Claus. We'll get over it. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think we're just going to say, oh, okay.
I don't either. If they control the media and the scalar wave network is removed, as well as the constant clearing of these very heavy-duty ETs. They control vortexes and irradiate frequencies of fear and control all over the planet, and this will be revealed eventually too. So it's a slow process, but it is occurring. And I just want people to not look at the doom and gloom, the black crepe paper hangers. I suggest that you look for the positive information from Cobra. There's many good people talking. You guys are working on positive meditation technologies and all this stuff. Valley and Thor's information. The spiritual meditation practices, working with crystals, lasers, tuning into the higher frequencies. All of these things are very positive aspects of the positive changeover. But Sasha, you got to realize,
guilty. What will they do with those who are they have facilitated murder, mass murders on a grand scale? What will you do?
Deprogram
What will they do with the Clintons and the Queen and the Pope and everybody?
Well, as Benjamin Fulford said, the Queen is coming to the light. Now, look, the guys may be telling the Queen of England, yeah, you get to stay in your position of power and don't worry and all this stuff. But that's to get them to play ball and not push any big buttons. They're pedophiles. It's horrible, murdering. All those stories are true. It's part of the mind control and the reinforcement of the programming. What will happen?
Are we going to kill them? It doesn't make sense to, in our paradigm now, we give them a death sentence. But that doesn't seem like we're rising above it if we just light them up and kill them ourselves. What will we do with these people? Will we quarantine them in some kind of Botany Bay colony off planet, and we're going to attempt to rehabilitate them?
I think that depends on how soon in the process the Galactic Federation comes on board and we can evolve and accept it. This is a fluid model system that is a holographic universe, and the past, present, and future are converging in multiple timelines in the ever-eternal present now. Mm-hmm. So this is a fluid model that the human limited here to their dualistic consciousness we can't possibly comprehend. So we have to be fed the information. But here's what I've come to understanding, and it's kind of hard for me too, but when the Galactics come, all these individuals will be given very advanced healing technology, including us. We will see all the implant matrices, all of the things that we've done, all the people who have hoarding or theft or, the sexual perversions or whatever the program is, as hoarding money, power, violence against family members, all of these things will be shown to people, and the true light will heal them. And now, once they get healed, here we are, just another galactic citizen, then we can move forward. In the meantime, the Galactics aren't going to make their presence known immediately all over the planet. I don't think. We may be seeing them more and more. The questions will come up. Eventually, we'll have ambassadors. Valiant Thor's spoken to the United Nations several times. They get really angry at him.
So tell us more about Valiant Thor. And Olmec Golnick is of Nusian as well. And so she has a fascinating story. And so do they know each other? Has she met him? Are they a part of this? Okay, so tell us about Valiant Thor. And where is he now? Where did you go, Valiant Thor?
Well, Valiant Thor, he's a commander of 12 major flagships, 300 feet, 100 yards across, that sit in various locations on the planet, and there's a book called Spacecraft Over Earth. I've read it on my radio show. I revealed where they're all located. Within several miles of these locations, they change. They have scoutcraft. He does things across, and there's a giant mothership that they have, which acts as a galactic ambassador station for ETs coming to Earth to learn about us and to begin to engage in our process. They go through a training session learning all the languages, 117 languages in 2 weeks. They can speak every language. But that ship is 7 miles wide, 5 miles high, and 14 miles long. I've seen pictures of it on the outline of it is distinctive. It looks like a race car almost. It has kind of wheel things on it. But so that is out there. He goes to Venus. He also travels beyond the rim of our galaxy to other galaxies. And his liaison, he's was directly appointed and commissioned by the Ascended Master Jesus Christ, and is part of a process. So where he is, no one knows, but he's doing his work. He contacts many different people, and he's asked us to create inner circles of individuals who are ready for more information. I may be doing that soon. But so they got the good guys doing this stuff, but I wanted to say with the RV, It's about empowering countries to solve their problems. They can create money and go, all of you unemployed people in Brazil, the government's going to pay you all $100 a day, and they're going to create science forts. We are going to take down those chemical food factories, and they're going to become local hydroponic, organic, natural food sources. We are going to take out the asphalt, and we're going to create magnetic levitation devices. We'll have free energy. We are going to have advanced healing technologies. All those people working in Monsanto, they're going to be going into other fields. We are going to have huge construction projects. We will take a giant straw and stick it off the coast of California. We will go through some very high technology and we'll desalinate it, purify it, and we'll feed the world in the California breadbasket. We'll take the human waste that's flushed into the oceans and we'll lay it on the Gobi Desert, and that will become a Garden of Eden. Many things can happen when we have free energy in spaceships, and we are allowed to have interplanetary cultural exchange openly. Until that happens, we are literally being held hostage with the planetary life streams with negative scalar wave technology held to the head of Mother Earth and every human on the planet. And it must be done gently and safely. So what will happen to these beings? Some of them may be murdered. People may hang them and string them up. We will have Nuremberg-like trials for crimes against humanity, and some of these beings may be murdered and killed. Now, when the event happens, the matrix will go down, and many souls will not be, those who have died already, many will be taken to their worlds immediately. Mm-hmm. They will leave the astral plane. They will re-inhabit their giant Andromedan bodies when they were trapped here 25,000 years ago, and they will be reunited with their family in other worlds. Now, others, if we murdered them, their souls would be taken to motherships, many of these very dark beings who are reptilians and aliens, and they will be shown the consequences of their action, and they will have a choice to turn towards the light, or if not, they will have their souls reset and recycled into the central sun. It's a very, very, very small number. If you read UFO Contact from Iarga by Wendell Stevens, from the Syrian system, the Vegans are very clear on what they call fake gang there. So a lot of these
actually that correlates with the Dr. Michael Newton Institute, who does the Life After Life and Life Between Lives research. That is a process that happens. That they will be invited to. They'll do the review. They'll feel everything because they're going to be out of their skin encapsulated self sense, and they'll feel everything, and then they'll come into empathy and understanding, and they will have an opportunity to. If they don't change their ways, they will get reset. Yeah, that correlates 100% with the research with Dr. Newton's Institute.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is a story is that they'll be quarantined like Obama. It's not like he's healed and he gets to stay president. People aren't going to accept that. He has to be. All of those guys have been removed and taken down, and we have a new republic ready. It will start out as local, national states. And they don't like centralization of power, really. Everyone is in their own council and has complete free will. At the same time, they will establish a series of experiences. We'll get our true history, number one. We'll understand the spiritual laws. And there will be great temples of learning created. Beautiful art edifices like Daven here will inspire and uplift people to spiritual communion and recognizing the divine in everything and in each other. And service, on the other world, you become a really cool king bee person the more you serve others. So instead of becoming rich, our entire value system will gradually morph into a more spiritual understanding where the science of being and the art of living becomes the true victory of the light. And we will have great teachers who will and mentors who will be able to guide us into positive things. A lot of this has to do with taking us away from negative technology. We will establish science boards that will say, oh, no more plastic, it's toxic, that process is not allowed, and we will create natural, organic systems. And because of the programming for material items, we will have less emphasis on material goods and more emphasis on quality of life.
Dr. Leslie has a question or a statement. What would you like to say?
Oh, it's just that I'm interested in the marijuana freedom movement. Having worked with Stan Groff and others using LSD and DMT and agents like that, what they seem to do is to clear the matrix to some degree to give us a glimpse of higher possibilities. I wonder if you would comment on the whole legalization of marijuana that's been going on in the United States and Uruguay and other places.
Yeah, we only have 8 minutes, yeah. So.
Right. Well, if we go back to the ancient Hindu description of Shiva, there's a medicine pouch, and the medicine is to cure an illness, and the illness is the implant, the negative violation of God's laws. When Kali dances with 9 skulls, those are the 9 fixations on the engram. You may be familiar with the giver, the taker, all of these. So these are the fixations on the auric field that different personalities will go through based on their astrological sign and lifetime experiences. People fall into these situations. The pineal gland is a spiritual eye. It's liquid. It's been calcified. They put fluoridation in the water to dampen the human consciousness field. And in reality, the meditation exercise is literally a physical exercise of placing your attention on the third eye. I like to say, feel instead of on, because it keeps all the vibration into the alpha nature of the 3 higher centers. So there's different glands that secrete neurohormonal structures that are very instrumental in unified consciousness, bliss, feelings of unity. This comes from the serotonin, ACTH, MOAs, and so these psychedelic substances like mushrooms, the rishis are actually Pleiadians, and the hymns of Soma are related to the ETs they have mushroom drinks. Actually, Pleiadian spaceships are made out of mushrooms injected with metal and crystal. That's another story. But the marijuana is a lower form, and it can basically, it doesn't really take you anywhere. It makes you relax. It kind of gets you out of the programming, but you don't. If you smoke a lot, you become quite inert. You don't get a lot done. You become less harmful, that's for sure. But the freedom movement, clearly, everyone has a right to do whatever they want with their own body as long as it hurts no one else. So the reason the marijuana laws came into effect was actually a financial reason, because Henry Ford was going to make oil out of ethanol. The Rockefellers didn't like it. They got together with Randolph Hearst and said, hey, if we outlaw marijuana, and your redwood forest, we can turn that into paper. You'll become a billionaire. No one can make paper out of hemp anymore. You can destroy the forests and become a bazillionaire. And so that was the reason. And they got together with a series of propagandists to call it marijuana. Black men would rape women, and the Mexicans would do something else. And so it was all a propaganda, and it's been found that it is a healing herb. It does help with pain. It can be used as a food. It's actually a wonder plant, and really will become a whole. There's already a hemp economy growing, but they're regulating it, and they're not legalizing it in Colorado. It's an absolute mess. You can only grow 3 plants, and of course, there's only 4 or 5 companies that can do the big stuff, and they're all multi-millionaires, and I'm sure it's all a big payola about taxes. As far as I'm concerned, the black market underground cannabis field is going to remain strong because the prices go through the roof there. They want to genetically alter it and turn it into pharmaceutical and make the natural stuff outlaw. But basically, folks, these things will drop away. Connecting to spirit and divine light within you is way better than any acid trip or any marijuana, and that will become more available when the matrix is taken down.
Wow.
So, God bless us all, and I thank you. Thank you for this wonderful time.
We only have 1 minute left, so what would you like to say in closing? I want to thank everybody for listening today. This has been an incredible show. I invite you to listen to it again, the archives, and we'll put it up there. Dr. Wesson, would you like to say something?
Oh, just thank you. I learned so much.
Thank you.
We have the power to bring peace to this world, victory to the light. Don't fall prey to fear. Become the solution. Connect with your brothers and sisters and seek alternatives. This is a beautiful world. God bless you. Thank you guys both.
God bless you. Love and blessings.
Meke aloha.
Meke aloha.
Victory of Aloha, PromiseRevealed.com.